Welcome, welcome, welcome to Gem Collectors with Shawn. I am happy to be Shawn. When you can come in every day, well, not here every day, but when you get to, I guess, make a living, and it's also considered your hobby. Started at 11 and still messing with my hobby 52 years later. I love it. And what's even, I guess, grander is when you amass a collection over that amount of time. And that it was only later in life that I even saw rocks and minerals as any type of commodity. They were never meant to be something to be bought and resold, really. Maybe swapped or traded at, I can tell you several other times when I've gone to these, I guess, not commercial gemstone panning operations or anything like that, but known, like Chunky Gal, known locations that you can find other minerals and run into other rock hounds. And every rock hound always has, or should have, his box of rocks, so to speak, with him. And, tailgate trading, right there in the parking lot kind of trading, those kind of things. That's I could do. But as a commodity, only later on I realized that my time for cutting stones, that was a commodity I could sell. But so I never did fully get over being able to part with a rock or mineral or gem. And you're seeing now the end result when you start late into offering up items that you always thought you were going to get around to it. Like on a project that you bought that crystal specimen to make into a piece of jewelry for, or, you bought a parcel of gems, you had this idea in mind. Well, the ideas never quit flowing, but the time and age keeps moving on. And so all of you are getting the benefit of a lifetime's worth of collecting, not wanting to sell, and then in the end, pretty much having no idea what things I paid for things. It really doesn't matter whatever you pay for something. It's only mattered what it's worth at the time that you sell it, or it's only worth something what someone else is willing to pay for it. And so, in the end, for me, it was never about making money, and still isn't. And that's why there are going to be some amazing, incredible deals on things that you have maybe never have actually seen anyone present to you. I am going to leave that to your imagination. I got great stuff. So let's get to only a few comments. So we do have a winner for the trivia contest, and then we're going to get right to the show, because I had to race in the show last week to get shown every item that I had intended to show, which was an item you had never seen before. Same thing today. If it works out, every item you see will be an item that you have never seen before, never shown before, unless it's something I want to tie in or talk about into another item that I am featuring. So, okay. Where do I start? All right, we'll go with the comments. All right, let's get started. First, we'll do the questions. So, to refresh everyone's memory, and for those of you just tuning in, or maybe that hasn't often before, the number in the corner of your screen, that's the number you can call at any time of day. We're an offshoot, or I am an offshoot of a 27-year, 24/7 nationwide international gem shopping network. That's our name, Gem Shopping Network. And at the very beginning, our founder was a lot about gems and minerals, and even fossils then. And as things progressed business-wise and the models change, things change, it has become mostly a jewelry shopping network, except for this little vestige left of some of the original ideas and intent of the founders. It's also where it all begins, ground level. And I mean that geologically, and I mean that physically, because I'm in the ground level of the building, which the main showroom is a floor above me. And I have a wonderful office fully equipped with lapidary equipment, but mostly fully equipped for goldsmithing, because you can also watch 30 different videos that the director of production, Asif, and I produced a few years back. And he directed and shot it. I was behind the bench and showing some of the most complicated to some of the simplest encounters in bench smithing that you might come across. Everything from, my version of flush setting a gemstone to redoing mill grain, beadwork. I even do start to finish carving a wax, casting it, alloying the metal, all of these. And out of many with over 100,000 views, the one I think with the most views as far as the video goes is how to drill a crystal, a gem crystal. Kind of odd, but so I show you that. And then one of the most endearing and meaningful ones I ever did was because of the comment the person wrote back. It was on how to remove a ring from your finger without destroying the ring, which I, after having to repair so many beautiful rings, a hospital doesn't care. They will take 2 pairs of snippers and 2 pairs of pliers and just crank open that shank. And if it's an antique, beautiful platinum shank, whatever, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. That's not their job. They let you worry about it and it will destroy it. So it's always better to remove your jewelry before you ever go into any kind of procedure, hospital, anything, because also there is a risk of potential theft. So many people, after many years, can't get it over their knuckle without, some kind of creative way. So I offer many different ways of how to do that. And one of the most grateful answers I ever got back was, came from all places, Wales, England. Wales, England. And this gentleman wrote that he was absolutely terrified because his daughter, who, and I remember playing with pots and pans when I grew up, was my mom would just let us do that in the cabinet. And what child really did it? Except his daughter got a hold of a black frying pan skillet and got, the hole at the end of the handle that you use to hang up on the wall. She got her little finger stuck through that hole. And that's kind of a sharp edge sometimes on the inside. For the life of him, he could not get it undone. Butter, everything. Yeah, I don't use that. I don't use the things that are going to make your ring dirty and difficult to clean afterwards. And believe me, butter, the only way really that kind of strong grease oil base is to use a strong item like ammonia. And if you're talking about an emerald ring or a ring that's had certain treatments, boy, there goes a lot of treatment. You can really, so stay away from those things. So anyway, you'll have to watch the video if you want to see the innovative ways that I show people and actually do it. It's very hands-on how to do it. And my methods worked, whereas none others did. And he had searched everywhere, came across mine, and he said, I'll try it. So anyway, there are so many once sizing a platinum ring versus sizing a gold ring, the difference between the two, all of these things, even hand fabricating a piece of jewelry. In other words, what would, by the Federal Trade Commission, count as a handmade piece. When you see that term handmade, well, it has to be, certain guidelines have to be followed for it to be called that. So I show me completely making it in rose gold, even with a moving gemstone in it. So on completely hand making a piece, sawing it out with a saw, the whole works. Amazing work for an opal, 2 opals. Check out those videos. then check out all these other neat minerals where I get to share my collection with all of you. And I love it because I get to look at all these items that I may not have seen for a while as I closely reinvestigate them down to the minutia of detail. And there's another specimen today that it may be one that you had seen before, but in re-looking at it, I discovered another mineral on it that hadn't been on it before. Well, it was on it before, I just didn't notice it. And that's what happens, you know? There's other minerals on these specimens that I'm offering that I, you know, because if I know it, I usually will note it or mention it verbally if there's not room to put in the graphic or on the tag. So that's why it's important to take notes of a specimen that you may like, because you may get information that you wouldn't have. And even outside of that, there are some definite minerals that I miss and or just don't have always the time to do the intense research, but it's fun to figure out what they are. Okay, so let's keep going here. All right, so the questions were, what mineral usually has to be present to cause quartz to change to blue-green? So to finish that thought, you can order any time of day. Watch the video, you watch any of my shows, any of them, get the item number. We're open 24/7. Live sales people that really are more than happy to help you at any time. And then, of course, you know, you can always return anything that you don't like. And before I did this podcast for 7 years, I did a live show in the network for over 9 years as a host there. And but I kind of like my little corner of the world down here, but don't tell anyone. We get to kind of, do a lot of showing and telling, which is a lot of fun. Love to share information. The mineral usually has to be present. What mineral usually has to be present to cause quartz to change to blue-green? All right, now, so we covered that. And answer, well, and I always say, listen carefully to how I word the question, because the wording can matter. So, what mineral usually has to be present to cause quartz to change to blue-green? First thing that most people would want to think of, oh, well, I know that, that's copper. And put down copper. Well, that's where would be wrong to start with, because copper is not a mineral. Copper is an element. So that's kind of where, semantics do matter. And then answer being, specifically, it is the copper ions that come out of, that leach out of the chrysocolla and then combine with the gem silica or the quartz silica to create that color. So for everyone else, also backing up what we're doing right now is we're giving the questions and answers to trivia. And we do trivia at the end of every show. And it's often based on something I've discussed in the show, or maybe something previously, or you never know, but it's usually going to be something that's answerable, nothing difficult. And then sometimes we do, what is this? Which I am set up, and we may do a what is this, where I set out a series of specimens, and then you write down in the order that they are, what is what. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, second question was, and we do a couple of questions for trivia usually. Name 3 minerals mentioned, that would be mentioned in last show. Name 3 minerals mentioned found in Koroit opal. Now, Koroit opal is a specific mining area of Queensland, so it's not just Queensland Boulder opal. So it is the Koroit opal itself. And those answers would be most commonly, and the ones I mentioned, so name 3 minerals mentioned, because there can be others found. But if I didn't mention them, then they don't count towards the answer, because you could get into minutia of detail and be technically correct, but it wouldn't be covering the basics of what we try to cover. And that's the most common ones that you're going to run across. So the ones that would be hematite, as I showed and glistened on the side, that shiny kind of metallic reflection. Jasper, and oftentimes you see that represented as a red color due to the hematite, the rust color, the iron oxide color. And then ironstone. And ironstone in Australia takes a whole new meaning because it is sometimes so up to 30% content of iron and can be actually mined for its iron content. And that's why a boulder opal can feel really kind of heavy. And that's why it can't get so caught up into price per carat when it comes to a boulder opal, particularly, because a little bit of depth with the weight of ironstone can make a big difference. And if you're doing a price per carat thing, no, more like you go by the overall millimeter size, the face of how much silica is showing. And then when it comes to the face of the opal, one of the ways they're evaluated is on that face of the opal. Oftentimes the boulder opal, other minerals like silica will, like the ironstone will be present within the opal silica also. It's not like just an Australian opal where once you cut past the clay and the sandstone, you have nothing but pure opal. No. Boulder opals, the ironstone can blend in and mix with the silica at different levels. It's undulating at times and uneven, and that's why you see boulder opals polished unevenly at times. So if the face of opal has great color but interspersing areas of ironstone, you pretty much go by what percent of the face of that boulder opal has silica and how much percent is still boulder opal. And that has to do with, so obviously the more silica you have just across the top with no ironstone, that is the ultimate. But if you only have a little bit of opal silica in the middle surrounded by ironstone in the face of the cabochon, then that would be a lower value piece. So answers were hematite, jasper, and ironstone. All right, so now let's get to the comments. All right, now we have Miss Cindy in Pennsylvania. Hello, Rock family. That was some show, Shawn. I have written a whole book watching this one. A nice, boring week here. No drama or stress. The best kind of week, indeed. Hope your week is uneventful in the stress department. No. Had another leak, but that's another story. Don't even want to think about it. Anxiously awaiting my mail-in ballot for the presidential election. I hope everyone exercises their voting right. A lot of people don't get the privilege or choice like we do. Yep, I always encourage that at this time of year. Answer. So, Miss Cindy said copper, iron hematite, and red jasper. Well, 2 out of the 3 there, Miss Cindy. Well done. And that's where technically, yes, it is copper that creates the color, but the question was what mineral is most often present. And if you notice, it's not really, you don't get the copper ions from malachite. You know, the way minerals are, they can release or rebond with ions. And some are only free to be part of another formula at times. So it actually is important where those ions come from. And but overall, what's creating the copper, creating the color is copper ions from chrysocolla. So, good answer. Almost all the way right. Miss Barbara in Brooklyn. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Cindy in South Central Pennsylvania says, by the way. Miss Barbara in Brooklyn. Hi, Professor Shawn, Raven, GSN crew, and the whole Rock family. Energetic show. Managed to snag the layered malachite specimen. I'm looking forward to picking around in those layers under the microscope to see what's there, especially the dark layer. Let me know what you think about that when you pick around at that dark blue layer. And I'll be curious. It's certainly a botryoidal, and it's certainly different than the malachite. And like I said, that's why they're thinking it's chrysocolla. And that was a marvelous opportunity that you were the one that able to get in on that piece. So a lot of people don't recognize what is rare and unique, and anything coming out of those copper mines that has anything to do with copper and quartz and malachite and those items, minerals together, you want to pay attention to those. Miss Barber goes on to say, liked your reference to the invasion of the body snatchers. I remember the first movie after the 1954 sci-fi novel in 1956 with Kevin McCarthy and Dana Winner. Beware the Pods. I know a lot of people don't realize. They think the very first one, because they made actually I think like 2 after what people think is the first one, which it isn't at all. The first one that most people think is the one with Donald Sutherland, made in the 70s. No, the one in the 1956. And a lot of people don't realize that one also had Carolyn Jones in it. And Carolyn Jones went on to be in multiple Alfred Hitchcock Presents episodes, but she is most famous for Morticia in the Addams Family. So if you like sci-fi or back then considered horror movies, definitely catch that one. Which reminds me, I came across another, I told you all some while back, I'm born in 1961, that I have some kind of nostalgia going on, that I'm really enjoying watching movies back to that time period, from the mid-50s to till they started doing a lot of movies in color, till let's say the mid-60s, around the time I was born. Because now if you watch a movie, you don't know if it was shot in the back lot of Hollywood or it was all CG or where it is. But then, you got to see Main Street. You got to see things. You got to see pricing on stores. I love to see, and they just use actual current daily pricing. The old cars, which I love cars from that time period. So to see that what to them were just everyday cars they drove, now to us are like, oh man, I'd love to have, so it's really kind of neat to see as a snapshot in time from when I was born, watching these movies, and then also kind of being on the peripheral edge of a TV show, program, network. It's kind of, I often find myself thinking, now how would they have created that special effect, in that shot in that time period and whatnot. And it's really everything from seeing the string, the fishing string line holding a flying bat, to seeing booms in the shot and things like that. It's kind of neat to see still a sense of primitiveness to movie making by watching them also. So anyway, that's why I have gotten into a few of those. So I came across a movie. Remember I had mentioned the other one with Lucille Ball. Any movie has to do with rocks. Well, this was called The Monolith Monsters. So The Monolith Monsters, and I'm not going to be a spoiler for you, but it gets into different types of rocks, including mentions pyroxenes. It talks about crystallization. It talks about silica, feldspars. It was really, really cool. And the premise of how these crystals grew and then how they were destroyed is a little bit of what we're going to be showing you today if I get a chance. Yes, I brought in my crystal making, so let me keep going here and see how much time we have. Miss Barber goes on to say, more on crystallized pink quartz. Just saw a video of Alan Hart, formerly of the Natural Museum, History Museum in London, and now GMA, saying that studies are pointing to the color being due to natural radiation, just like the smoky quartz it is often found with, whereas massive rose quartz color is due to inclusions like dumortierite. I wouldn't have known that. The lovely Brazilian pink quartz is being outdone by intensely colored specimens from Dar Pesh, Afghanistan. Check out the backroom offerings at last weekend's Denver show, Fine Art Minerals, on YouTube. I know. I just drool. This month's Rock and Gem has some really nice articles on cutting gem silica and Erongo alien eye fluorite. Nice tidbit regarding fluorite being a simple combo of calcium and fluorine. When some of the calcium are replaced by europium ions, the combo glows blue under long wave. Sweet info nugget. As to the trivia, chrysocolla and its copper need to be present to color gem silica. Hematite, red jasper, and ironstone are found with Koroi opal. Hoping for more than the promise of rain here in New York City. Just want a slosh, not the 18 inches Wilmington got. I've learned to be specific in my wishes, which sometimes God likes funning with us. Isn't that the truth? Be well all. Miss Barbara from Brooklyn. Miss Gabby chimes in. Hello, everyone. You mentioned today, Shawn, it takes a significant amount of time to inventory for a show. I totally understand. Don't think I have ever mentioned this, but it takes me a long time to watch one, too. I can count on it taking me at least half again the length for the show to get through it. I am frequently pausing the show to get a specimen. I love this. I love that you do that. To get a specimen to see if mine has that or does it have this, like the one you are showing. And that's exactly what I want everyone to do, is I want you to become interactive with the piece that you may have. And that's when you really learn. It's like when Miss Barbara said that she liked the Uvarovite specimen that she had gotten from me and the size of them and on the matrix that they were on. And I said, well, forget that. Look, focus on the schuskite, the really rare other mineral that was with them. And then she drilled down on those and realized that she had an above and beyond an average specimen, and especially type locality for it as well. So, yeah, there is treasures that unless you put a little research into them, you may not realize just how great a treasure it is you might be getting. Sometimes I have to go through the invoices. I tell people, never go through Shawn's invoices. Do not look up how much money you have spent with Shawn. To make sure I have the same and see an invoice for the specimen I forgot I had and have to find that too. Exactly. One leads to another. LOL. I go down at least 2 rabbit holes a show, but I love every minute. And that's the whole idea of this. Trivia: chrysocolla, ironstone, pyrite, and red jasper. Let's see. Something went wrong. It didn't sound quite right there. Very close, though. Very close. So, getting the chrysocolla right, the ironstone right, the red jasper right, pyrite. It would be neat, though, if in those specimens. And see, here's the thing. I know, though, Miss Gabby, that you really knew that pyrite isn't found with boulder opal because you've never seen any with boulder opal. But you have seen it with bright, shiny hematite, or a very metallic looking type of mineral with it, which is, of course, the hematite. So it's funny, though, our brain will write down the wrong thing, and when we know better. You're opting out, though. Doubt anything from the last 2 weeks is still available that are on my list as I watch the shows late, but I will give it a shot. Below is a pic I promised. I'm guessing I'm not the only one that took the picture of this car. Take care and see you all next week, Miss Gabby. The car. Of course, you know, my totem and spirit animal is the owl. This car I would absolutely adore, only if it was 4-wheel drive and maybe a pickup truck and I could go rock hunting in it. Other than that, it was all about the owls. And I would really be curious to know what the people did. You know, were they owl researchers or have an owl rehabilitation center? There's something owl connected there, but I was most jealous of their car. It was held together with owl stickers, bumper stickers, and everything to do with owls, and had owls on it. Great picture. Love it. Okay, Miss Elisa in Florida says, hello, Professor Shawn, the lovely Raven, GSN crew, and the Rock family. Professor, you delivered another great show full of amazing and some uncommon items. I wish I could get them all. My answers to this week's trivia are chrysocolla. I would have answered copper until you said gem silica. See, something clicked in your mind that registered, okay, not copper. What does copper come from? And in this case, it's chrysocolla. Red jasper, hematite, and ironstone on number 2. My favorite item of the week was the lovely honey yellow chrysoberyl. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. Yes, that chrysoberyl was Well, if you liked that crystal beryl, just you wait. Just wait. Take care, everyone. Miss Elisa. Miss Penny says, hello, Shawn, the lovely Raven, amazing GSkin crew, and fellow rock hounds. I hope this finds everyone well. I won't be able to finish watching the show before the deadline, so no trivia answers this week. Thank you for the win. I love labradorite and fire agate. Yeah, I guess you could probably skip one since you just won one, which is great because Miss Penny, of course, lives in Quebec, and she took a vacation over to far eastern Canada. And, of course, labradorite is from the Labrador area of that region, or originally named after that area. And so, how perfect. The magic of the show worked. She won the labradorite cab. Thank you for the win. I love labradorite and fire agate, especially when purple comes through. So do we. So far, which actually purple is the most valuable color for labradorite, and it is the most valuable color for fire agate as well. So great color for both. Love those blades of kyanite. That's her favorite specimen this week. It was the Virginia kyanite specimen. And if you love that specimen, whoever gets that, you will love it even more when you put the black light to it, the long wave UV light to it. It's crazy red. But I have a story about fluorescence today that you will have never heard. I am betting that you would not have known that. So I want to know, when we get to it, I want an honest answer if anyone had known of a particular property that having to do with it, fluorescence. So we'll get to that. I'm just teasing you a little bit. Okay, finally sent the photos today, being Wednesday, which I had to get reprinted because the colors were terrible from the first place. I will get a new printer soon. I love candid shots, so I don't edit the photos except for cropping them. Perhaps I got carried away and sent more than I should have, but I couldn't help myself. Some even look like postcards, if I do say so myself. Miss Penny, you sure you hit that button, send? Try that again in just a separate cover maybe, and you try to send it with this. If you were sending those pictures to me, if that's what you're alluding to. So send them again. I want to see them. Also, she goes on to say, I wanted to make a comment on something completely removed from rocks and minerals for a change. Refreshing. Oh, I'm curious. I thoroughly enjoyed watching the Paris Paralympic Games. The opening ceremony was beautiful. What captivated me the most was that a few small countries had only one disabled athlete participating. And I'm sure there are more disabled people in those countries. I find these athletes extremely inspirational. The strength, courage, determination, work ethic, discipline they had, and the tears and challenges that they overcame to reach that level of excellence must be commended, whether or not they won. A very sad moment for me was when the Australian visually impaired man, Jared Clifford, 5,000-meter distance runner, let go of his guide's tether 1 meter before the finish line, was disqualified and lost the bronze medal. Ooh, that's a sad story. The rules state that they must hold on to their guide's tether throughout the race until they cross the finish. Boy, that is awful. The guide should have, I don't know. That's a real heartbreaker. But that's what these kind of games they bring out the emotions, and that's what makes them so wonderful. And I too watched some of the Paralympics, and I'm telling you what, these people can do their sports they do far better than, well, I may have handicaps, I don't even know it, maybe a couple of mental ones, but far better than those of us that have all of our abilities. And it is, and like you said, to get where they got, truly inspiring and amazing. And those are real sports heroes. And you know what? They don't make millions, if not 50s of millions a year. Insane amounts of money that sports players, that the whole thing has gotten to. Imagine Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, if they knew what the contracts are giving out for their kind of numbers that they were batting at the time. Even in their calculating their day's numbers, they wouldn't understand it, because to them still it was more of a sport and it wasn't about the big contract. Those stats were about getting them to the pennant or to the World Series. It wasn't about getting them a bigger contract the year after. And if it was, how much bigger could it possibly be? So, yeah, you hit on something there, Miss Penny. And the Paralympic athletes are true athletes. Now I have to motivate myself to do more things. I did figure out how to change the ceiling light fixture in our kitchen. Change the ceiling light fixture. I hope it was a difficult one, because that sounds like the beginning of a joke. Enough rambling for today. I wish everyone a wonderful week and hope to see you next week. Penny and Mahalis from Quebec. And good luck keeping up doing those man chores there, Miss Penny. But don't forget to go rock hunting and make rock hunting a part of everybody's life. So it looks like that only a couple people qualified for the trivia, and this week it gave a really high chance of winning to one of two people, and this week it was Miss Elisa in Florida. Let me show you. This may cause some gem envy, some trivia envy, because it's a special parcel, one that I hadn't ever really put together before, especially not for free. So this is a little bit of everything, but in particular, check it out. Look at that. So look at that. That's a tanzanite. This is a star sapphire. A star sapphire that has actually a really good star to it. We just have all the lights on it. This is a London blue concave cut topaz. This is a ametrine, actually has a little bit of ametrine going on with it. And then look at that. That is a beautiful amethyst, actually. And then look at the size of this. This is also has a nice 6-ray star. Wait till you see. You can actually see the 6 rays, and then you can see the alternate reflections of the other lights. So in a single light, it'd be a great star. Now this also, everyone pay attention to the color of this, because I may refer to this word in the future called Gouda, Geuda. It's a type of gray to white sapphire that is commonly treated. Look at this piece of rhodolite right there. So there is a really nice carved rhodolite, kind of like little buttercup you can use. And let me make sure, yep, has got it all. Congratulations to you, Miss Elisa. And we'll be right back with the start of the show. All right, you often hear a lot of gem pockets named after particular situations, animals, whatever. Well, if you were to name this after a crystal, it has to be something like the rhodochrosite puppy dog crystal or something like that, because doesn't that look like a tail and a head? Well, it all depends on the angle that you look at it. That aside, this is one of the coolest miniatures in one of the most valuable, considered non-precious, and considered a gang mineral. In other words, a unwanted mineral tossed out by a silver mine in Colorado for many years, until, of course, rhodochrosite and the finest rhodochrosites in the world started coming out of the Sweet Home mine. And then this is a miniature. I have faceted a finished over 12 karat, one of the most stunning rhodochrosites, easily into 6-figure type of price point. It's a soft stone. It's hardness of 4, has perfect cleavage in all 3 directions. In other words, a difficult stone to facet, but it makes a beautiful crystal to look at. The ones I cut were actually single rhombohedrals. They were single crystals standalone. So I wasn't messing up a beautiful crystal cluster, because some of the sweet home crystal clusters are some of the finest you'll see. When they have additional mineralization like this quartz crystal coming off as a tail, look at that, makes them even more aesthetically beautiful. So I started off showing it to you this way. As we turn it, look at that, more of the quartz crystals become apparent. Then there's one coming off of the, quote, we'll just use the head, as you can see it. So what a difference in how you view something. What was unassuming and not even noticeable, all of a sudden becomes noticeable. Look at those crystals up there. And then there's the money shot when you get to see that color. Rhodochrosite is very, very pleachroic. In other words, it changes color with the direction that you look at the crystal through it. And in all three directions. And that's what really can make a unique stone when cut properly. Look at those quartz crystals showing up now. Look at that. Now there's probably the display side you might want to use. I don't know. But you can also see that these are facet grade crystals that if you wanted to, you could take these and facet a gemstone out of them and easily recoup value, all your value and more. Faceted rhodochrosite is very expensive, but so are the specimens, whether they be thumbnail or those larger museum quality ones. Stunning, stunning. The thing about it is, even though there's been beautiful Peruvian rhodochrosite, incredible South African rhodochrosites, beautiful Chinese rhodochrosites, there is something about the sweet home color and the sweet home crystal formations that are standalone and very easily, to me, recognizable from the other origins of rhodochrosite. This happens to be one of the really adorable, what would be considered a thumbnail specimen in the mineral world. Let me show it to you in my hand so you get an idea of actual size. And James doing that perfectly. You can see that it's not a small specimen overall at all. And here is the very classic form you see with all three directions of perfect cleavage. So remember, it is a manganese carbonate, just like calcite is a calcium carbonate. So you have the three directions. You have this one, and then this one. So cutting this is extremely difficult. And I have one on the top right now that splintered off on me. Yes, Shawn, while I was cutting it, and haven't had the heart to start over again. But you can see the clarity to that. And yes, it does matter. And a lot of times mineral specimens, clarity isn't something discussed because it's not something that's cut as a gem. Well, they didn't use true rhodochrosite either, but they do. And so if you're able to cut rhodochrosite and the quality is such that it can cut a facetable size gem, which you can see this one would definitely cut a large enough gem, then you're talking about a lot of value left. If you evaluate it as a finished product of a cut gemstone, it would easily triple or more. The size I could get out of that would easily triple the price I'm asking for it as a specimen. But then again, once the specimen is cut and gone, it's gone. Price on this is an opportunity, as so many other deals are going to be made today. A great opportunity, $188. Only $188 on that one. A real beauty. Let me tuck that one away safely. I'll be right back. Okay, you guys are going to be tripping over yourself getting to the telephone. There's not another one. I have not offered a piece ever in this podcast of Sleeping Beauty rough. Yeah, you know you're getting into some of Shawn's deep dive material here when I come up with this. you know, turquoise has been used in ancient Egypt, going back all the way to 5500 BC. So a long time. The word turquoise itself emanates from the word Turkish, because the French word, because even the Persian, which of course is Iran, Persian turquoise, which is, you know, considered the finest in the world up until, you know, Sleeping Beauty time, passed through Asia Minor, which is Turkey. And so to the ancient Europeans, so to speak, and Middle Easterners, their origin in their mind was coming from Turkey. And so hence how turquoise got its name originally. Now, this quality turquoise really does pretty much come from one place, and that is the Sleeping Beauty mine. But, you know, the Sleeping Beauty mine is just part of a complex of mines. They're really called the Copper Cities mine. Now, Sleeping Beauty, and I've been all over Arizona, because I used to fly out there, of course, every year, drive out there one way or the other, wound up in Arizona every year for a long period of time. So enough that I don't have to go back for a while, and I'd be all right. Sleeping Beauty, it's named that way because of the way the mountains are arranged, and at a particular angle, it looks like Sleeping Beauty laying on her back. Now, I won't get into it, the exact anatomy of what looks like what from the side, but yeah, in looking at the series of hilltops, it does. It looks like a woman laying on her back. So I think that's a clever, but it's really part of the Gila County, Miami Inspiration Mining District. Now, why does that sound familiar? Miami Inspiration? Yeah, the Inspiration Mine. The Inspiration Mine. And so it's part of a complex of a very rich in different ore bodies, everything, copper, silver, gold, all mixed up. Now, turquoise is a copper aluminum phosphate, and it actually, as part of its formula, has water. And why is this important? Well, because that is why 95% of all turquoise has some type of treatment, sometimes so much treatment that if you cut it, you can smell the resin in it. You can you can easily even it can be so bad that so many different household chemicals can affect the coating. They grind it up and press it into molds. They do so much for this stuff because guess what? It's one of Mother Nature's oldest gems ever. So therefore, it's had a lot more time for mankind to do his thing and try to knock it off. Yep. Knockoffs going way back before the latest handbag. This piece, and even, you know, Asif was doing it on. He couldn't believe it because, you know what? These guys, and I got Chuck here on camera, great camera guy, and amazing woodworker, by the way. So anyway, I scored big hits with Kim a few years back when he did a Grateful Dead. My friend, everyone knows that we're Grateful Dead fans here. So anyway, that's another story. I can go into Chuck's artistry. I'm impressed. This turquoise coming from, of all places, Arizona, is not what you would normally find in Arizona, New Mexico, Mexico, Peruvian turquoise, all the other places. No, it does stand alone as being incredibly beautiful. If you like robin's egg blue, if you like that stunning natural color, and this is a natural piece of, there is no treatments done to this whatsoever. And how do you tell? First thing you want to tell? Okay, remember that I just mentioned that turquoise, the chemical composition in itself actually has with water? Well, turquoise can end up so dried out. It's one of if you stick your tongue to it, it can actually, just like sticking your tongue to a frozen pole in winter. Well, it works kind of the same way. Will suck every bit of moisture out of your tongue and absorb it into the piece. Yeah, it's basically water hungry, and that's why it takes treatments so well, because it has a kind of a porous makeup, and you can push dye into it really well. Now, one of the ways still stands alone to tell dyed turquoise is to follow any kind of inclusion lines, and it'll be darker in those lines. It'll concentrate in those fissures or imperfections in the surface. But if this, look at that, the surface is like that, there's nowhere to push dye into. It would only be surface, so there'd be no point. Look at this quality. This is a stunning specimen. Look at it in the size in my hand, so you get an idea of just how big this is. And since this turquoise is almost 99% always cut and almost never able to be offered to someone like one of you or even me as a mineral specimen. Mineral specimen, what? You mean sell it for less than I could get for it if I cut it? How dare I? And that is why so little bit of this is available, unless you run into the unscrupulous buyers that will treat the material and try to sell it off to you as Sleeping Beauty. And as soon as you cut into it and pass the surface, you notice that it's not going to be. Now, classic Sleeping Beauty, right here. You will have some silica that you see here in the quartz, but also, and we'll just leave it. I saw something shiny for a moment there, but there is a couple little specks of pyrite. So, there's one right there, right there. So, I'm just letting you know that so that when you run across it, you won't have to wonder what it is. You'll know what it is. So, that's why, yep. And then your other basic, now you could slice this and end up with a lot, there's a little, I see it reflecting right there, another little pyrite crystal. And you'd end up with a lot of great cutting material. But then, look at how gorgeous it is as a mineral specimen and how rare. Where are you going to get another one? Because it's great that it's not tumble. It's great that it hasn't been sawed by someone else. It stands on its own perfectly, and you know how much I like when they do that without having to use a stand. So it aesthetically self-displays beautiful. And it's large. It's large. For a turquoise, quote, nugget, that's a good size. So anyway, it would cut a lot more value than what I'm asking for it for a specimen, but you know me, I don't like to make money very often. So anyway, the mine went from 1896 and pretty much shut down by way of commercial mining in 1982. I think that they might try to get some of the material still out for the jewelry making, but as far as a working mine, that is over and had ended. It had a good long run. Price on this, I'll let y'all fight over, only $58. That is a definite fighting over price. Now, let me show you next. Oh boy, so many goodies here. Item 1204724. 1204724. Take a look. And look at Mother Nature. Look at these two colors together. We have, look at that. Look at that pink and the blue. Neither one treated, both as they came out of the ground. Love it, love it, love it. All right, look at this. Now, here is a incredible, look at how large these pink tourmalines are. Look on the end, you see that classic kind of trillion shape, indicative of what a tourmaline crystal will look like, embedded in beautiful quartz, except look at this. Okay, so we run into a little bit different color. Now, do you see any type of shade to this color? If you just imagine ever so little bit, you can see a light lilac or a light lavender or super light purple, if you want to say. Okay, so if we find that it's with quartz, so we're talking now about a pegmatite. What would that be? If it's not a muscovite mica, lepidolite mica. Here is our lepidolite mica. Here is gorgeous tourmaline crystals. Now, as we come away and show you the size in my hand, you're going to now appreciate it a little bit more, because there is something else so unique about this that I wanted to keep it and keep keeping it. Let me show you. Yeah, and it's not even these additional tourmaline crystals. Look at this right up here. And as we look at it from a little distance away, you can better get an idea of exactly what we're looking at, because now you can see very well defined shape to it. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. In other words, tourmaline has 3 curved sides. This has 6 straight sides. Associated with quartz and tourmaline, what would that make that? Simple, but unique. An aquamarine. That is a aquamarine crystal situated in quartz and tourmaline. Then look, this is an obvious lavender colored lepidolite here. But wait, there's more. There is additional blue here. So there's something that was either laying right there or right underneath. Then you can see, and that's why I said when we step back from sometimes specimens, you can see things better than up close. You can see where another negative crystal was. Then you can see the other smaller pinks. Now, let me show you an extra treat as we come in, close in, right there on that aqua. I am going to show you something I hadn't really ever seen before as we go in closer, all the way in, and then I'm going to put a little magnification to it as well. But first, let's look at that. You see, it wouldn't be noticed, except it's noticeable. And then it drew my curiosity. So let's give that a little bit closer look as Chuck navigates his way through my bizarre way of showing things. And you can see, and then let me add a little more light, which is usually needed. And you can see that it is, and if I tilt this, a pink crystal of tourmaline. There it is, bisecting it. Now, if I only had a couple more hands. There we go. Look at this. Right here, and it angles back away. But you can see the 3 sides to it. This is one of, outside of that morganite that Miss Gabby got, that had the tourmaline etched out, leaving the skeletal remnant of where it was, and then having another tourmaline grow within that void. That was one of the most unique things I've ever seen, and that's going to be a tough one to beat. But this is kind of neat in its own right. Now, let me show you. Let's just go around. We'll come back to that in a minute. Let me show you how many other pink tourmaline crystals are actually on and about this piece. Now, even as small as some of them are, they still matter, because I love to see everyone. Okay, look at that. There's a long one there. There's one, there's one, there's one. And let me pull that back a little. Okay, there is another one. then look at that. Here's all that other lepidolite. There's a nice, and you know, that's why I say you never know how far these go back into the quartz. You know, we see just the end, like that one. You can see that one's kind of going at an angle down into it. And then look at the large area here. What exactly does that represent? Let's back this a little bit and let's see if that tells us anything additional, which in these kind of specimens, it most certainly will. Look at that one. Okay, so that crystal almost having a kind of a bicolor look to it. Let's cruise this around here and see what else we can see, so to speak. You get to the lepidolite, makes it a little bit harder for light to make its way through. But as we come along here, you can really see the pink in the crystals. Now, this is where I'm heading to, right over here. So you have a pink crystal here, one there, and then look in the aqua. Now, let's take a look. This is an aqua that you can see clearly is exposed on the outside here. And then look at these two other tourmaline crystals and another tourmaline there. And then, so I don't blind you, let me turn this one more way and see if we can't get a little cross shot on that crystal. But see, I'm just playing here because I get to see it on a big screen TV. And when I should be really showing you guys other specimens, and I'm going to get to them, I just thought that this particular crystal within crystal was uber unique. And boy, wow, is it ever. All right, so you can see this is what they would be considered like a medium-sized cabinet specimen. Some would actually call it large. There is a beautiful display view right there. So if you're wondering on what kind of angle to display it at, that's a fantastic one right there. If you want to try to incorporate lepidolite, there's that angle. And if you want to try to incorporate the aqua, here it is. You have still two large tourmalines. And then look at how much exposure you have on the aquamarine right there. A real upstanding piece, especially if you have other tourmalines. This one represents and does its counterpart very well in its ooh la la factor. And also, I have this. If you actually went and saw the markets that carry this kind of stuff and saw what they're asking for it, you'd be quite surprised. But only $148. Only $148 on that one. And that is the nicest one of those that I had gotten when I bought a batch of the pink tourmaline pieces like that. So that is a real jewel. Now, let me show you something, and we'll start off a little bit mild first. Item number 120-4424. 120-4424. Okay, as part of my Made in the USA collection, so over all these 52 years I have collected, there were two things I focused on, mainly my birthstone, January, garnet, the 6 families of garnet. Okay, rough cut, everything you can imagine. Then the other was specimens that were mined, grown in the United States. And so sometimes that leads you to some really great, unusual rarities, believe it or not. They may not have beautiful colors, but color doesn't matter. That's for interior designers. We're rock hounds. Look at this. This is all about form. And it is the Clevelandite that stands out. Clevelandite is a type of albite feldspar. And oftentimes in large masses or in fine blades that are right up against each other that don't allow them to be defined on their own. Look at this. This looks like potato chips in a bag. They are very well defined, separate from the other crystals, and probably some of the best structured Clevelandite I have ever seen. On top of that, you have beautiful muscovites. Now, these crystals, if you want to take a brush to them, can be cleaned up, so to speak. In other words, you could do specimen prep on them and remove some of that material, but that's up to the next guy. I liked it the way it is because you remember mica, it's a phyllosilicate. In other words, it forms in sheets, and you never know what you could peel off. But I think, look at that. This is actually some really nice layered muscovite. Here's the cool thing. Hayes Ledge Quarry. That's a location you haven't heard of. It's because you're not going to see many specimens from there. But if you're looking for Clevelandite, for some of the finest Clevelandites, and like I said, Clevelandite is always this color. It's not like this blue Clevelandite or fancy color. No, no. So if you want a well-defined Clevelandite, if you collect feldspar minerals. Now, feldspar has a large group of family members. Remember microcline, oligoclase, plagioclase. The list is long. And then there's sub-family members like Clevelandite being a type of albite, just like Savorite is a type of grossular. This would be, look at how well formed. See this? This would be one of your finest Clevelandites you could ever hope to find. And then look at the back. It's even really nicely crystallized, but shows more often the way this type of feldspar is found in more kind of massive grown together, like you see on the back here, instead of what you see on this side. Beautiful formation. So, Hayes Ledge Quarry, a quarry that is really, you know, you can go and see the picture of it. It made me wish I was there because I would be on that quarry all day. It just looked like out in the woods, like some of these quarries that I've walked up on. And how fun that would be to explore someplace like that. So anyway, opportunity on this, I made it not a lot, so that someone, if they're looking for a very cool feldspar, and because it doesn't have all the bells and whistles for color and whatnot, but it still needs to be appreciated for what it is. And that way, $38, it's certainly not going to be a question of price why you wouldn't love it, huh? Now, what I'm going to show you next is a real treat. And that is because I have never, because I can look back and see when, I have never shown anything this nice. As a matter of fact, let me stop here for a minute. I'll be right back. Let me set up on this. Chuck and I were just experimenting with bringing you what you obviously see, the star in this rose quartz. And it took very little effort to show, to bring a star this well defined in a, let me show you. Because your mind is thinking one size, and when I put my hand behind it, look at the size of that. Yep, that's not one of the smaller spheres I normally show. This is a large size sphere. Incredible, beautiful rose quartz. And we've already been talking about rose quartz today, as Miss Barbara commented about the different causes for rose quartz, whether it be potential natural radiation in the earth or the meteorite inclusions, etc. Now, this will come with the wooden stand, and the neat thing when you create a sphere out of a star quartz material, and as long as it's translucent, it's actually 2 stars. So let me mess around with this. For one thing, you put this in the sunlight and that star will be the, well, this will be the worst it'll ever look if you're comparing it to the sun. Now, the neat thing is, look at this. Now remember, quartz, hexagonal crystal system, well, it forms a hexagon. It technically is in another crystal system, but the shape of it forms a hexagon, so you can expect often a 6-ray star. In a sphere, you have it on one side, and the neat thing is, go directly to the opposite side, and boom, look at that, there you go. And those legs, they go all the way around. Look at how well formed that is. This is a phenomenal color, and let me just put add a little bit of light so you can see type of inclusions that might be in it. And the neat thing is, look at that. It's kind of like the moon during the day. You can still see the legs in the star. That is how strong and well defined this one is. So, it's one of those, as far as like when I have it in my hand, I can feel a natural type of energy. And as we know, quartz is piezoelectric. There's a reason you feel electricity. Also, we measured everyone's voltage one day when I brought in this really accurate voltmeter I have for doing just that, measuring the piezoelectricity of crystals. And of course, we know, of course, is what started the whole radio thing. There would be in Silicon Valley. What is quartz made of? Silicon dioxide. There's a reason why it was named Silicon Valley. Quartz, super important. There is an electrical current. Pressing on it will increase that current. Just a tidbit about something so basic as a simple formula with quartz. A star quartz, when you have a star quartz like this, now, I don't know the metaphysical properties attributed to it, and of course, anybody that ever deals with that has these long disclaimers, you know, like you're actually going to go out and maybe do surgery after, you know, holding a rose quartz over someone. Yeah, no. But there are a lot of positive attributes for those of you that are in the metaphysical community that want something really special. This is that really special something. This is a large sphere with a very well-defined star on both sides. Remember, on the other side, if there would have been inclusions in the quartz or somewhere, anything in between, you wouldn't have gotten that second star. So to get the star that comes on both sides, in other words, like this, it could have been centered in the middle of that, and then, you know, you wouldn't have that. But no, instead, look at that. So a fantastic, impressive piece, and it's the only one I have. Price, $128. Only $128 on that. An excellent value. Okay, now, those were some bigger items. We're going to get back to some other specimens, but now I have something for those of you. Item 120, 56, 24. Okay, I was going through my gemstones again that were my project stones. In other words, items that I was going to recut, refacet, this, that, or the other. And I have decades of those that I have saved and built up. Well, it's time to where I just don't have time to realize I'm going to get to recutting even some of the simplest of gemstones. This is one of those that I am offering now to those of you that can facet or cut, or even those of you that don't, because there's very little wrong with this gem. It has, look at this. For one thing, it's a really fine ametrine. Let me raise the curtain on this guy. You can see the inclusion right in the back. There it is. That's all that's wrong with it was that one chip. Now, of course, very obvious, and we wouldn't ever sell that unless it was a, from this show. It would never sell, and a piece of jewelry quality control wouldn't allow it. But this show, since I sell to those of you that can facet, here's a perfect one. Or guess what? Those of you that don't even facet, that only cabochon, which is great enough, just cab across the bottom of this, round the bottom of it off, and get rid of it that way. You know what else I do? Before I learned to facet, this is when I was like 13 and 14, I would actually hold it really steady against my flat sanding disc for cabochoning and make like I was faceting it. Hand facet that out. Try it. Experiment. Because worst case scenario, if you mess it up, you just go back to cabochoning it. All right. Forget all that. Let's say you just want to put this in a stand or put this in with your collection for another day. That's a really nice piece of ametrine for that reason. Also, here's the other thing. Remember, ametrine only comes pretty much from one place, the Yanahi mine in Bolivia, and it's a natural color created from, again, natural radiation in the earth, they've determined, and it has to do with iron with both colors. But here's the other interesting thing. When you see these colors, those are actually good colors for natural ametrine. If you see ametrine, and I had a piece of it, I wish I had it here right now. I should have saved it. I will. It's in my lesson box, but that is a really dark purple on one end, a really beautiful yellow on the other end. Well, it's treated. It's not real. It's fake, especially if the price is not some astronomical amount of money. This alone, ametrine, has gone way up in price. There's only so much of it available. Take advantage of this if you're a cutter, or if you just want an amazing stone for a fraction of what it would cost you, $38. Only $38. That stone, $10 a carat, easily. So have fun with it at 38. I have some others I'm going to show as well that I just don't have the time. And everyone's going to love this next one. Item number 1205424. So you can see by the numbers that I did these kind of close together, because what I did, I got out my chipped gemstone bag, and I had more items in there than I remembered. And it's just not ametrine. Wait till you see this one. And I should absolutely find time, except, you know, I do high-end stone cutting. I mean, really high-end for someone a lot of you familiar with. And I would feel bad to just cut recreationally or fun when I have other paying jobs I should do. But when it comes to a stone like this, yeah, I need to make the time. Look at that indicolite. That is, now to me, you know, they call indicolite, even when it has green color tones in it, which I have never been one of those fans to. Indicolite is, as its name implies, a blue color. Indicolite, okay? But they've accepted so many of the blue-green tones as indicolite now. I feel like I have to join the club. But it's really nice when you have an indicolite that truly is it. Now, the other thing that can throw you off is indicolite, of course, is plate chromic. It changes color with the direction you look at it. So one direction may be all blue. Another direction, it may allow in some green color tones. Okay, point being, if you look at the angle in the mirror, so that angle is a different angle looking through the stone than me turning it this way for you to view. And you can all see that it's a different color in that due to that reason. So let's put this down and let's look at this stone. What is wrong with this stone? What is so wrong with this stone that I am going to sell it at a huge discount? Well, there you go. It's got just... And in a gem cutting world, that is a minor boo-boo. Look at that deep blue in the end. Look at the color as the light reflects off that stone. That is a true indicolite. And what would be and is a very expensive color. Now this angle, you get to see just a little bit of the green. And that's why you see that is for the reason of it being plate chromic. But straight on is the way they're judged and assessed, and that is all a blue color. So it definitely passes muster with me for calling it an indicolite, and I am really particular about that. Look at that stone. Except this color indicolite is not affordable in almost, well, of course it's affordable to many, but as far as most people, it would be quite an expensive gem. Yeah, this kind of color can get hundreds of dollars per carat. But when you hear, those of you that don't even know how to cut, you're going to say, I don't care, I'm just going to have that mounted anyway. Leave that little boo-boo in the corner, put a prong over it. Absolutely, you can do all kinds of things and you know, wire wrap it, etc. Here's the deal. Even that size boo-boo, I have so many other things to focus on cutting time-wise that just isn't going to, I'm not going to be able to do that. So how about this? Let me offer a quarter for a nickel to anybody out there that wants it. You don't even have to cut stones. Again, you could round all four corners if you just cabochon and just round and cab the corners and have a caboset or something like that. I don't know. $68. $68. And that is, you know, pretending that inclusion isn't there. $68 is, that little stone is feeling insulted. Put it that way. He's feeling insulted. I spent millions of years growing and all this, and you dug me out of the ground for $68. Shawn's lost it by now. Item number 1205024. Next is one more opportunity for those of you that want to buy on the cheap. And I call it that. I call it making money on the buy. Because, you know, when I would buy estates and whatnot, anytime you buy something less than what it would normally cost you wholesale, if you're in the business, you're making money on the purchase, on the buy, we called it. Not counting the money you'd make at the retail end. So in other words, you made money before you even sell it. And that's what this amounts to. So look at this. Here is another wonderful, let's see if it totally passes the indicolite muster. A wonderful green. Okay, so I must have seen blue in there somewhere, right? And it has to do with that plechoic nature. And this is a great stone to teach that lesson of, it may be an indicolite in one angle, but it certainly may not be in another. So this looks like it's going to be a blue-green indicolite. And you can you can see the blue. You can see the blue from the back. The cutter needs to make sure that they orient the stone for the best color. But when they're elongated crystals, as you know tourmalines are, it's a lot of times tough to do that. Okay, here it looks like it just needs a table repolished or some facets right around the edge of the table. And this one is priced for anybody to want it, even if you did nothing but cabochon, a buff top they call it, cabochon the whole top of it. Here we go. This is a giveaway deal at only $38. $38 on that guy. And another opportunity. Imagine if you're like I used to do. I always used to look at the magazines that sold cutting rough, and you're trying to get a piece of rough that would cut a clean tourmaline that size. The piece of rough would be so expensive, you know, and these are really considered preforms when they're chipped. They've had everything already cut away. They only need a little bit done. So those are even more per carat. It would be, the price I'm offering is more of if it was just a specimen of a lower quality tourmaline. Look at this, item 1204924, 1204924. So we're sticking with the tourmaline theme here. And look what I have. I have a unbelievable deal on 2 unique crystals. And both from Pedernera. Now that's where the rocket pocket came from, of course. Look at that. Look at the color in that crystal. That is why you can see some of the rocket pocket color. If you're familiar with those tourmalines from that particular pocket during that time, this is actually a little even dark. Mostly it's a pure green. You remember that picture Miss Gabby had one of that crystal, and then that stone that she bought to match it. Well, this again, from that same mine, not from the same pocket, but from the same mine. Look at this. This is actually terminated on both ends in an odd way. It means it's a floater crystal. I don't see where this was attached or that end, but they do have odd terminations. That is complete facet grade quality, the entire length. You could cut one of those long, narrow, beautiful, beautiful green pieces. Now let me show you this next one, which was quite unique. Okay, so you can see that there was another crystal that had laid up against this one right in there in the pocket. Let me show you the bicolor nature to this, and you can see that, hold on, let me turn this light off, and then we'll get you to be able to see the actual color, because you can almost see the swirl, like a twist in it, which would be really unique. The center is a different color than the exterior. And when we look at it from the C-axis, or look at it from the side, you can see that. You see that center triangle being a different color. That is, there we go. So it looks like a purple center and a green exterior. But when viewed, the green and the purple together kind of make a grayish color. But as a bicolor, it's actually gorgeous. There you go. You can actually see some blue. You can see some purple and the green. That makes for a lovely, lovely crystal. You can see the center there, kind of in an odd form. 2 fantastic collector's crystals here, and an opportunity to get some high quality. Look at that. You can see the end of it. See that? Pedernera material for your collection, or to cut like this one. In other words, the crystal looks a little bruised on the outside, so that'd be completely acceptable to cut, but it still makes for a beautiful loose crystal. So anyway, price on it is a deal, and offering you both those crystals, let me see, wonderful, for $38. Wow. $38? That one crystal, again, if you were trying to buy the rough, would be an insane kind of price. Okay, now let me show you item number 1205324. 1205324. What I'm going to show you next. Now, it's not a term I would use. It was like, you know, when the red beryl came out and they first started trying to call it red emerald. Oh, it sent me to the moon for, you know, misnaming something. Well, I actually had written on the bag of this next item, blue emerald. And it told me what I was doing. Of course, there's no blue emerald. It's either aquamarine or it's emerald, but there is something in between called green beryl. And that is basically what we're going to be looking at here. Here is as we look at these, you're going to see a unique color that you're not really familiar with when it comes to the beryl family. They're going to be greenish, or they're going to be bluish. Let's do this. Let's turn this dizzy maker off. And oops, instead of backwards. And let me show you what I'm referring to. Because against the yellow foam in these things. All right. For one, they're really clean stones. But they're definitely of the beryl family. And look at how clean they are. So when they run that clean, of course, there either can be aquamarine or the green beryl. When you take and get green beryl, it all of a sudden some of the physics behind emeralds always being included, you lose some of that. And what you wind up with is look at that, a green, very clean stone. And these are almost always Colombian. And if you look at these and you compare them side to side, then you're going to see, and green is always difficult to capture the actual color. But when we look at them from the side, we get to see that a little bit more. The clarity of these is phenomenal. And as you see that, you can see color variations. And then this one helps you to really be able to see the green. So you have a much stronger green. Look at that. So this is a green beryl. I checked for the chromium with a Chelsea filter, and there was somewhat reaction, just enough. And when you start comparing these side by side, then you can see what is greenish, what is bluish, what is blue-green, what is what. And so I think this is one of the best collections of 4 stones that if you graduated the colors, it would be just about right. You know, from the bluest to the greenest kind of thing. And it makes an excellent addition to a collection of beryls, if you didn't want to use them for some other jewelry purpose. But if you're like me, I collected nothing but 50 stone gem tube cases after cases, and I could just get them out and look at them and look at all those gems, and I would always feel like I was a pirate and just, absconded away with a treasure chest of gems. Or I was someone like on Oak Island that spent all my money trying to find money, and better off should have just kept my money. Treasure. When I looked at all my gemstones that I had, it wasn't that much value, but I would even love to buy a gem tube of, 5 carats of faceted garnet for $10 and that kind of thing. And a really wise lady named Dudley a long time ago told me, she said, Shawn, even if you can't afford it, just when the gem deals come through, just buy one gem tube, even if it's only $10. Start here, start there. And she was absolutely correct. By the end of it, well, you see by the end of it, this is part of it. I had a massive collection. Okay, how about this? All 4 of those stones, in the clarity that you're seeing those, think of a price in your head. 1.65 carat, what that would be worth to you. I see in that kind of quality color, $100 a carat would be a bargain at $165. But that's why $48 is going to sound so very much better to you. $48. A neat collection right there. Now, speaking of a neat collection, try 120, 58, 24. 120, 58, 24. Now, you guys know how we have tried to show you fluorescence before. You're going to have to take my word on it, but we'll get back to fluorescence in a minute. I want to show you 3 crystals first. Stunning crystals. Look at those. That is exactly Chuck capturing the color perfectly for a very important shot. And that is to be able to show you what a pink sapphire crystal from Ceylon looks like, facet grade. Then look at this. And how do I know they're Ceylon? Ceylon or Sri Lanka, which I should be saying Sri Lanka, but old habits, hard to die, are doubly terminated at both ends and often will be rounded because the mining in Ratnapura, where most of the mining done, look at that. Look at the clarity of that crystal. We're going to look at that a little closer, okay? Is done in rice paddy fields. Sri Lanka is very, very wise as far as environmentally being able to pull off agriculture right along mining. Luckily for the rice paddy growers, which are in all these fields that are were once more hills, and over time they wore down, and the ledges that the specimens were originally in their host rock eroded out and washed into the valleys. Over time, dirt piled on top of those levels and more and more. Just plain agricultural. The level that the gemstone deposits were at were much higher up, but as erosion brought them down into the valley and into the river system that meandered back and forth, it eventually left the deposits 30 to 60 feet deep underneath the rice paddies in a gravel layer about 3 feet high. And they will dig down using bamboo supports for the sides. I've been to Kanchanaburi in Thailand. I have seen this method of mining done, and it is scary. I've been in a lot of different mines that might have spooked me a little, but nothing like this kind of mining. So they constantly have to run pumps to keep the water out. When they hit the gravel layer, the government mandates that they just can't go and open pit mine this, in other words, tear up the whole field just to get to the gravel layer. No, they can only go out and branch outwards from a single shaft downwards. They hit the gravel layer, then they can start going out into it sideways. But it is all done by hand. It's artisanal mining, and I mean filling up about a 10-gallon bucket at a time, hoisting it to the top, manual, everything manual. And this way, it's sustainable mining, and it keeps the locals, they just don't let a big conglomerate go in, mine out the entire deposits in, less than a year, and then leave the people with nothing but a torn up, what was a paddy field. No, it's sustainable mining, whereas it's at a rate that keeps the people employed, it keeps money in their pocket, and it keeps the rice paddies able to be continued to be farmed, and they produce. They produce. So that's why you see a lot of these crystals are rounded, because they first had been in an alluvial stream for a long period of time. Some a little bit more fresher sided crystals, like you can see. Look at this beauty. Look at this two-tone beauty. Wonderful blue at each end, facet grade, especially on the end on the left that you're looking at. And this is the kind that you could find an anhydro in. Absolutely possible, plus other very cool minerals that allow themselves to be easily photographed and viewed. Look at that. Look at that against my ring so you have an idea of size. As Chuck follows me here, look at that. So a nice size. That would make a beautiful crystal. Forget cutting it. I would rather have a ring made out of that crystal, leaving it like it is, or a wire wrap pendant than to do anything else with it. That is a beauty. I have never had one that kind of clarity. Look at this pink one. Look at this pink one. Now, I say facet grade. How do I know? Well, it's easy. You can just oil up or wax up the outside. It allows you to be able to see a window into it. You can backlight this also and be able to see any inclusions. There is a large area, and that is what I intended because it's not such a great, perfect crystal shape. I had intended to facet this into a no heat pink sapphire. Of course, it'd be no heat. These, for one thing, also, I have had these for about 3 decades. Yeah, a long time. And so you can, like, see that? Look at that angle. You can see the clarity to them, especially for 2/3 of it on the left-hand side. Now, then look at this. How neat is that? This, I just added as a curiosity piece. Wonderful bicolor sapphire. Remember my ring I love so much that Miss Barbara has now? The bicolor nature to it, that's why, you know, shows you how much I do like those. Anyway, the neat thing about these, they fluoresce. They fluoresce. Unbelievable. They glow orange. All 3 of them. All 3 of them. The one that is more transparent is tougher to see because it's transparency. But they glow such a bright orange you wouldn't imagine just how cool it is. So there is everything going on with those that is good. And again, if you've ever wanted to facet a high gem quality pink sapphire, I mean, that would be your best opportunity that I've ever seen that would be an affordable opportunity. These kind of crystals, especially the pink one, they do not let out. Because remember, that would be going out as a no heat if you left it just as it is. What would be a no heat pink sapphire that would probably cut, oh, you could probably get a 2-3 carat stone out of there lengthwise. You know, that's serious money. Instead, I am going to be giving them away at Shawn's kind of pricey. And of course the pink one's the money stone, but the other one, that clarity, and as crystal specimens are a phenomenal opportunity. And only 128 for the set, all 3. 128 for all 3 of those gems. And I just had never featured 3 crystals like that. And why I wanted to give you as much information as possible, because they make your head spin, whether it's the fluorescence, the clarity, the pink, the nature of the pink one. And anyway, get them home and enjoy them like I have, because there's a lot there to enjoy. Now, I am going to show you a really rare item next. Item 1204224. And I don't think I have ever featured one of these in this show ever before. And if that tells you where I'm going with this guy, it is that rare and that special that I hid the bag it was in. No. Okay. It's Colombian, and it is most likely from the Cusquez mine, which, for those of you that have followed me for any number of years, know that I dealt a lot in Colombian emeralds, a lot, in all forms, jewelry, etc., and whatnot. So I'm real familiar with the 3 primary mines, the Chivor, the Muzo, and Cusquez, and they're all in the same mining district. Well, Chuck worked with me on this one a little bit because it is a cat's eye bullet cab emerald. And a cat's eye in an emerald is never a real strong eye, but it is distinct, and in this one it is as strong as I usually see them. So let me find it and orient it and then check this out. Now because it's a bullet cap, it wouldn't go into tweezers without constantly popping out. Let me show you my bullet cap. Look at how high that dome is. And speaking of, look at it from the side. Now remember what I said. A cat's eye in an emerald is very indiscernible compared to cat's eyes like a cat's eye crystal beryl, etc. But nevertheless, it doesn't affect the value and the rarity. Now you can see that eye coming right down and right over the crest of that bullet cap. And you can see that chatoyancy, which is made up from small little tubes that are parallel to each other. And when the light strikes them, it reflects off of them, creating that eye. This eye formed a little differently than eyes in other items. Now, the sunlight is going to greatly enhance the eye and make it look, plus the color. This is not the actual color. This is a beautiful green and a lovely high dome, and has one of the really best eyes in general that cat's eye emeralds form with. You can see it has just a nice translucency to the stone and a phenomenal rarity. If you want something really, look at, there's the eye. And if it looks a little off center, it's only because it's off center in these things because I couldn't get it to stay how I wanted without it popping out. All right, so you can see, look at that eye. And again, in the cat's eye world, that's a beauty. All right, let me just sit that right there and turn this off. So here we go. I'll figure out how to work this thing one day. All right, look at that eye. You can see that eye really nicely, even not oriented with the light. Okay, price on this, I'm offering this at a giant discount. If you go and look up and try to see how much something like this would cost, it is pocketbook breaking for the most part. That's how beautiful and rare and how much the market considers the value to them. This is only, which is truly only $288. Only $288, and that is making money on the buy indeed. All right, item number 120, 4024. Okay, check this out. I have another special piece for you. Or let's say parcel. Look at these. Look at these beauties. Look at those tourmalines. And they're nicely cut. Let me just get them out. Plastic never does them much justice. Let's add a little bit more light there for you. And then the reason why, because see these, I had these recut. These are modified Portuguese ovals, and that made all the difference in the world. From when I first got them, they were just native cut tourmalines with very little life, and now you can see that, and you can see, tell by the pavilion and how many facets are on the pavilion. Look at that when you start seeing that, how many, then you know it's a modified Portuguese. There's one stone, you can see the different sizes of each oval. Look at this one as well. Another clean stone, and then take a look at this one. Tourmaline, one of my favorite gems because of all the different colors it comes in. Look at that one. Okay, so here, how about this? The all three beautiful gems, only $68 for all three. Only $68 on that. Now, let me show you. Item 120, 5124. 120, 5124. Sticking with the green theme. let me show you one of the largest ones you've probably seen in a while, and that would be a chrome diopside, Russian chrome diopside. It's from the classic Anagli Massif. And this, one of my favorite cuts, of course, a cushion. And to get chrome diopside to cut a stone larger than 2 carats is not common at all. You just can't find these stones in large sizes. And look at the clarity to it. Look at that. Really a beautiful, beautiful clarity. You know, you'd think that it would be confused with tourmalines and other stones of other natures, but there's a particular color to this that really sets it apart from tourmalines and from other gems in that color range, Sapphirites and whatnot. And when you see them and seen enough, you just say, oh yeah, that's a chrome diopside. Look at that stone. Look at the clarity. That was one I'd been keeping for myself for a while because it's plenty hard enough to do something with, and it's beautiful, beautiful. It's made up of calcium, magnesium, and chromium, and silicon and oxygen. So yeah, it's a beauty, and often people don't tell you exactly where it's from, but the Anagli Massif, and of course anything coming out of Russia is not coming out of Russia. $58. That is a bargain on a gem that size. Only $58 on that. That's a woohoo price. Now, let me show you next. Item number 120, 48, 24. And this, yeah, we're doing a little bit of some tourmaline here. Look at this collection of crystals. And the neat thing about this collection is if you want to see these best, put them on top of a flashlight head, really, and then look at them that way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to bring in light right down here, if you'll help me out with the irising, and so we can show them exactly the colors that are in these. Now, let me put the light there. Let me just run some of these through, because what you're going to see that these have a purple, a lot of them are bicolor. Let me bring that in here. And a look that unless you hold them to the light or on the light, you really miss out. Now, you know me, just follow me around there, Chuck. I'm just going to show a couple of these, and then everyone will get the idea of what they're looking at, except, of course, for maybe that one. That one looks like a true indigo. Look at that. See what I mean? Look at that. Didn't know that was green, did you? Look at this one. Look at that. Yeah, yeah. Kind of makes you feel a little different about them, doesn't it? When they're indicolite. Look at that one. And when you come across a purple to blue one, this is a really cool, oh, that's that dark one again, collection. And I have had these for a long, long time. Again, probably thinking I was going to get to some project one day, but look at that one. Look at those colors in there. Look at the blue to purple. So these are old Pedernera material. And look at that spray. Look at that color blue. So you get the idea. A wonderful collection of crystals you don't normally get an opportunity to get in on. And I am making all of those a price that you will love. Here's another one. I forgot another one. Throw another one. $28 for it all. $28 for it all. Kid you not. Item number 120, 52, 24. 120, 52, 24. Getting ready to show you something that only here in this show. You may hear a lot about this next mineral. You hear about a lot about it all the time, but you never get to see this part of it. And the part of it is the rough. How about some rough zoisite? How about some rough zoisite? If it looks a little bit like tanzanite, well, that's because that's what zoisite is. Zoisite, of course, if it's pink, it's called thulite. If it's tannish color before heat treating, it's called zoisite. After heat treating, when it turns purple, it is called tanzanite. Now, I'm not going to give you the formula, but you can go online and you can find out, because I don't want anybody blaming me if you overcook your zoisite. You can actually do this. You see these, now this was such good material that those pieces were sawed for a stone to be cut off probably another portion of them. So that's why you see some saw cuts right there. But nevertheless, you get to see the before it's treated. Look at that. See how that, okay, the other neat thing is zoisite or tanzanite is so dichroic. In other words, it's one color in one direction. Look at that, yellow in another. I love it. That piece will cook to an even purple color tone, most likely. Look at this, a completely tan, except goes a little bit different color, different directions you turn it. It's not heat treated. Heat treated, you're gonna get something else. Look at this. That's why these are actually lesson stones, because this is absolutely facet grade and a beautiful piece to help you people understand what they are looking at. Yeah, this is great, because let me just backlight this just a wee bit. All right, you can look at that. All you see is tan or brown color, right? And then all you have to do, look at that, turn it 90 degrees. There's your tanzanite. And now it's gone. Isn't that neat, Chuck? Isn't that cool? See, that's the education these guys get day in and day out when they watch my show. No one else could explain tanzanite until you see this type of gemological wonder. I mean, that's amazing. And I could go in and explain exactly to you why and how that happens. But all right, but that's another day, another show. You can see, just because of the different angles we're looking at these crystals, how different they look. If I spin all these around, you're going to get a completely different look out of them. Look at this. Look at this. I can turn that so you see almost nothing but clear white. But then I can turn it like that and you see blue. This is a fun, educational collection and facetable as well. And if you want, you can even, see, this is actually zoisite as well, yellow zoisite, but heat treated, it would probably turn blue. Try with a small piece and have fun with it. That's how I get started. You're not going to blow up anything in this case, okay? You can't ruin a lot of money. It's worth of anything. And then, wow, what a kick you can get out of them, truly. So, price on the whole parcel of those, only, and it's not really even worth selling to me. I'd rather get the fun out of them. I'd rather get to do that, but never mind. I share because I always have that. I always say that. I say, oh, I'm going to get to do that. I'm going to get, no, I don't. I have so much of get to do's, honeydews, you know, that I'll never wait. No way could I ever get to it all. So I'm sharing $28. $28. So you know, when I price something like that for only $28, I am definitely sharing in my passion. Item number 120, 45, 24. 120, 45, 24, you're going to get to see something. You haven't seen one of these in a while, nor have you seen it explained. You've seen these. You've even seen them in fine high-end jewelry. But what exactly is that bright stuff that they call lemon quartz, chartreuse quartz, actually, or whatever? Look at this. Look at this. Now, I may remove the back lighting because I am going to show you and prove to you. The main thing about this material, I don't mind if it's treated, provided it's natural quartz to start with. Okay, so let's raise the curtain on this, and Chuck, we're just going to look for a little light disturbance in here that I spotted that deems it a natural quartz. Now, obviously, it didn't come out of the ground this color. So just as in a lot of amethysts and whatnot, they go through a treatment process. And all right, so let's see, right there, I see a little bit of discoloration. You see that little lighter color going at that angle? You see that, Chuck? You don't have to try to focus on it. I'm just putting it out to everyone else. Okay, and then there is, you see some lines coming away going in this direction. And you have to, you can see them there and there. Maybe take us in a little closer there, Chuck, and then maybe we'll pass through the focal plane of exactly where those are lying. So, yeah, keep it right there, and then I'll move this in and out. So in doing so, what I always look for to see if there is any other natural type of formations in the quartz to deem it a natural quartz. And then, okay, so at least it's a natural quartz, because if it's lab-grown quartz, which anymore lab-grown amethyst is acceptable in the market, it is heartbreaking to me, but that's just the way the market's gone. But if I can help it, I will never offer you anything that has not at least been naturally grown. So there is a better defined formation that you can see in this if we, let me try one more thing here. With the right backlighting and lighting to this, but I can assure you it is a natural piece of quartz. Oh yeah, that might help. And you'll be able to, all of a sudden, when you see the lines, they become real apparent. Actually, I think right there. Right there. That's what I was looking for. See those? See how they don't move as I'm turning this? So it's not a reflection. Thank you, Chuck, for your patience and understanding. Here's two sets of them. You see them right there. And then they're veils. So they're veils. And because it's yellow, they turn up a little darker like that. Look at that. You see them there, Chuck? Mm-hmm. Yep. Good. So it's not me just making stuff up in my head. Always possible. All right, so that's exactly what I was looking for to show you. So, there. I wasn't going to give a price, because if I couldn't show those to you, then I couldn't prove to you that we're dealing with a natural stone. And that's the only way I'd be able to sell that. Now, other than that, this is a beautiful, beautiful, cool, large stone. And at the price I'm going to offer it to you for, they get big money for this stuff. I don't understand. $38. $38. If you did nothing but put it in the fish tank, it's worth $38 to have something so cool. And if you want to have a lot of fun, call it a, oh, I don't know, let's call it a natural green chrysoberyl or something. Let me show you item number 1203724. 1203724, because this is one of the finest stones of my entire collection. Maybe not by value, but by rarity and cool factor. If you liked that chrysoberyl last week, as some of you did, that amazing faceted stone, well, let me show you something to go with it. And if you bought one, how wonderful it would be to have a before and after. You see that, what you're looking at? That man did everything he could to make it that color. Mother Nature didn't have to. Look at what I'm showing you. This is perfect timing there, Asa, thank you. A natural chrysoberyl. Do you see the size of this crystal? This is a monster facet grade. The notes I have on this piece, and I got this piece in the 90s. I didn't have the price written down because I expected to facet this stone. But what I did have written down was the dealer's name, which his son has taken over the business now. And he's a large, well-known dealer in high-end material. But what he did have, and what I wrote down, what was important to him and me, because you always know if I can describe or tell you when something was mined, it matters. It matters. You can often define whether you have Burma rubies in an antique piece or if they're Mozambique rubies, because certain pieces were made prior to the discovery of certain mining localities. So he had the year written 1969. 1969, this piece was mined from Ratnapura. Those gem gravels I previously talked to you about, that's where this had to have come from. You see some rounded nature to the crystal, so some alluvial action here, right? You see it on the edges. Look at this. So this has been tumbling in a stream. Now let me show you. All right. Now this is going to be the other factor that becomes real important in examining this piece, besides, of course, looking at the clarity if you were looking to cut it. And as we look in closer, I'm going to show you that there is a series of crystal imprints right here, left over from the original crystal face. You have some original crystal indentations left there, and then also right here, you see these and these. Look at this triangular shape one. This would have been where maybe another crystal had grown next to it. You can see these well defined on either side, and then those straight lines there. Then look right here. Are you all the way in, Chuck?
Yes.
Okay. Let me show you using this a little closer. We're going to look right there. And what we're looking at now is you can see where the striations of the crystal face are, and then also the negative impressions of, it could be quartz, it could be some other mineral that had grown up against this crystal, leaving the negative impression of it. Now, let me just give you a look inside this. And wasn't it odd that this was so close to the color? I didn't know that until I saw it up there of that lemon quartz. Look at this. So you have the impressions of the original crystal, which of course is important also to define whether it's natural or not, which of course I always have to do. And of course this tested out natural all the way. This is the classic, but it's gigantic. This crystal at this size, if it cut a stone 10 carats, well, you saw last week when I showed that picture of the price of that one incredible yellow chrysoberyl that was 4 carats and going for $5,000 at $1,200 a carat, let's say. We'll round down. If that cut a 10 carat stone, you're talking about a $10,000 stone. If it cut a 5 carat stone, it would be thousands of dollars. You know, of course, being that way, it would cut a couple of stones, you know, clean stones is the way they break it down, unless it would cut one large one, because large chrysoberyls are extremely rare, especially from Sri Lanka. This one I have had for a long, long time, for decades. I mean, since the 90s. And I was always going to be brave enough to cut into it. But what would be more grand is if someone bought that chrysoberyl last week or buys that one and wants to do a before and after, that would be such a magnificent display of that cut faceted gem I showed And then one of the largest rough pieces of chrysoberyl you will ever see. And look at the clarity. This is outrageous. It is so unique, rare, beautiful, and the color I see is captured perfectly for the way I am viewing it visually with my own eyes. And remember, chrysoberyl, the third hardest gemstone, hardness of 8.5, just below corundum, ruby and sapphire. So it is durable. And one reason it probably did not wear more in its tumbling action down the stream for however long it was in the alluvial process. This gem, Ratnapur, means gem city, or the city of gems, is how it translates. And a great name. Now, there is a lot of mining areas around there in the paddy fields, so you don't get much more specific than just that mining district. It's on the Black River, and that is the river that, of course, created all the alluvial mining going back, of course, thousands and thousands of years, as the valley floor slowly filled in to upwards of 50 feet of overburden over the original gravels when they eroded out of the hillsides from their mother lode, their original deposit. That's how all the rubies, sapphires, gems, from most of them from Sri Lanka, wound up or mined alluvially out of the creeks. And it's done in one of the most environmental ways. Slow, yes, to American Western customs of mining, but sustainable by Sri Lankan methods. And that's what is important. Price on this, no way does it reflect the actual collector value of it. But I am going to make it an incredible opportunity for someone if you want a real rarity, and if you want to cut it, it's going to it's going to cut something of a much greater value. Now, something else important, let me see. Yep, I thought so. The weight there, Asif, if you could change that to 33. So just to show everybody that that's the original weight on there, I have right there 33.02 carats. You can see how that could easily be transcribed to what you saw at 22. 33 carats. So you just got, in your mind, another extra 10 carats for free. And that's the way, really, it needs to be looked at, because I am, because it didn't change the price, you just get the more weight. I don't, because once I say this price, I don't know how to go backwards on it. So I'm offering that extremely rare. It's probably a stone that should be really that size in some museum somewhere, and mined in 1969. Price on it, only $488. Only $488, and it should be multiples of that. Just simply multiples. Clock is running out on me, but boy, I sure still want to talk about this gem. 33, let me show it in my hand. Look at that. Look at that. You know what? When I had those gold nuggets and I carried one in my pocket, that's what it feels like. The value, the energy coming out of this, it feels like I'm carrying a gold nugget. And look at that. It's golden color. That, oh, what a beauty. What a beauty. And I tell you what, I still am tempted to facet that gem, because what a rare stone I would wind up with. Item 120, 5724. 120, 5724. Goodness. Look at this. I haven't shown a fossil in a while, but why not? Something special in a fossil. Look at that tooth. And if it looks like a tooth you normally haven't seen, well, that's because it is from this fish. You get this with it. So it's from one of those fish where, see the teeth, they're like vampire teeth. The teeth actually go up into the upper and lower jaws. There's places made for them. There's a crazy thing about evolution. It's similar, still alive. But you see, at 65 million years ago, no more. That was the impact of the Chicxulub meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs, well, that fish was included in being wiped out as well. $28. $28. That is a unique and rare type of tooth to get. And you can see it's a large size and in fantastic condition, considering they don't have enamel quite over them like dinosaur teeth have. Now, let me get to one of the highlights of today's show, and that is something I have never shown here except for about 6 years ago. Item 120, 3824. One of the rarest crystals in the United States. And I'm getting ready to offer you two of them. This is one of them. When we talk about spodumene, and we talk about the rarest spodumene on Earth, and that is the chromium-bearing hiddenite from North Carolina, named after William Hidden himself, who found it while prospecting, sent to North Carolina by Thomas Edison himself to look for platinum. And while doing so, he came across one of the rarest gems in the world. Now, let alone the United States. Now, this is going to take me a moment because it's an amazing story. If you remember, years and years ago, George, our gemologist, said we haven't heard from him in a while. I offered one. He scooped it right up. He'd been looking for one for many years and couldn't find one. Look at this. This is the way a true chrome green. Now, they call this a chrome green. They can go anywhere from a yellowish green to a little bit more of an emerald green, but always with a little bit of a yellowish tint. Many times, hiddenite that you see may be priced almost has no color at all. Almost is really triphane, a light yellow color, but still they call it hiddenite. This passes the true hiddenite test. You know what they are? That it turns pink under a Chelsea filter, showing it has chrome. But have you seen how many of those spodumenes, of the kunzites from Afghanistan, that they're treating and they call them chrome hidenites, and they're these amazing bright green colors for super cheap prices. Here is one of the most unusual things and method to tell. And I'm not going to probably be able to show this to you on air because you're going to have to just trust me, but you do this at home. The best way to tell that you have a natural hiddenite, is to take a fluorescent light. Okay, in the crystal world, this is the long length of is called the C-axis. The A and B are other that come from other angles, okay? We won't get into that part, but all you need to know right now is the C-axis of a gemstone is the axis that runs the longest down the center. If I put a fluorescent light on this, it will, okay, let me just do it this way. This gem it's made up of lithium, aluminum, and silicate with chromium as impurity. It was discovered in 1879. Hardness of 6 to 7, refractive index, somewhat 1.65. So it's not totally dull. Form normally found in granite pegmatites. It's monoclinic with a prismatic habit, in other words, lengthwise. Now, it will fluoresce red. Not if you, under UV light, not if you look at it from the side, not if you look at it from this side. If I put the UV light on it, no, you will not see red. The only way it turns red in fluorescent light is if I turn it and look right down the C-axis. Now, I'm just going to play for just a moment, and let's see if we can do that. Chuck, just humble me for a moment and just, or turn off the kicker for just a moment. We're going to be brave here. Okay, at least there's light. All right. As I thought, you won't be able to see it. Thank you, sir. Okay. So I just had to try it because that's what we do. Let me try one other thing. It doesn't pick up UV light because we always test it, but I will always keep trying. All right. When you get this, whoever is lucky enough to get this, check it out. Put the UV light going right down the middle of that crystal, and it will turn red. That is the way you know you have a genuine hiddenite that has not been treated, and you know you have a genuine North Carolina hiddenite, one of the rarest gems ever. This gem is one of two. It is from the Adams mine, and I meant to add that to the description on this. It's on the description of the other one I'm going to show. The Adams mine is, of course, where ADAMS, yep, Adams mine. And it is really the best known for recent production of any hiddenite, and also where Terry Ledford, one of the big players in the hiddenite world, lost his life. He was mining by himself, and you know, we all like to do that and get out there, but you know, didn't follow some of the classic rules that you should do. And with his excavator, and he was in the bank of the side of the hillside, and it came down on him. And how horrible, because he also owned Jackson's Crossroads, where the world famous amethysts are found here in Georgia as well. So a big loss to the community. But these crystals I have had going back to the 90s. These were mined in the 90s. I only have two of them. This one is, you can see, facet grade. Look at the clarity. If you were going to facet it, it is absolutely a gem of gorgeous color and rarity. Price on this, it is also affordable. I made sure I was offering them less than you would find them anywhere else, and I've made them both the same price, $218 on that. Let's look at item number 120-3924. 120-3924. This again passed all the muster. Pink under Chelsea filter, and the fluorescent red going right down the C-axis. I couldn't believe it when I did that, and it actually did it, and it was so very cool. Here's the second one I have. Only have these two. Look at how, okay, let me compare the two for you for a moment so you can see the difference in the two colors. So you have one that's a little bit more yellow, but that does not change the price. It really doesn't. As long as they're a greenish, yellowish green, that's good enough. Then look at the colors in this. That has some of the, of course, much more expensive color. So we'll take this one away. Price on this one is the same, even though it weighs less, but it doesn't matter. It's got the same dimensions about. And this one is really interesting because it has a channel, an open channel going down the middle of that. So when you put the black light on it, depending on the angle you look through, you get some other reds that bounce around. Look at that. Look at that down the C-axis, how green that is. That changes completely red. And that's the other neat thing about this, being, of course, a spodumene, strong dichroic. In other words, it changes color with the direction you turn it in the light in a very, very strong receptive way. So, if you do not have a North Carolina hiddenite, your collection of American gemstones is not complete. Those two crystals are so rare. I can't tell you. You know, that along with the crystal beryl, what I just showed you, wow, you should be doing backflips over excitement to see museum quality stuff right here. Item 120-4124. Oh, yikes, as the clock is running out on me, and as here we go. Look at this. Look at this. Here's 3 more tourmalines. And I'm not going to take them out of here because you can get a good idea what they look like just as they are. Look at those 2 baguette shapes. They're actually the same size, and I think they're the same color. But you see if I turn them, how they change color? It's just the angle that the light is hitting them, maybe? Yeah, look at that. Isn't that neat, Chuck? Mm-hmm. I love the optical properties of gemstones. All 3 stones. And $48. Only $48 for 4.25 carats. So you're looking at, what, $11 a carat, $12 a carat for really nice goods. Wow. Okay, let those sit right there. One more item. Item 1205524. And what I think I saved the rarest stone of the day. You're saying, what? There's something more rare than what you already showed us? Yeah. Wait till you see this. Have you ever heard, you want to add to your collection something you don't have? Have you ever heard? This would be under not rare, but very rare. Rarest of the rare is the way it was described. And Matsuo Nambu, this was named for. Nambulite. Look at that. I am telling you what, you may not be really impressed, but you need to be. Oh, sorry about that. Item 1205524. Nambulite. This is, it was only found in one small pocket in the 70s, and it is considered one of the rarest gems out there. At 1.22 carat, this is very large, hardness of 6.5. It was only discovered in 1972, named after a Japanese mineralogist that specialized in manganese minerals. This is a lithium manganese silicate, and it takes a fantastic polish. Let me see if I can't flip this over. And this is considered a large stone. And look at that. A true collector's item. Rarest of the rare is one of the big mineral dealers, IROX. That's how they described it. And I checked, I looked, I didn't see any of the dealers with one they had for sale. 1.22 carat, extremely rare, and they said the only ones that are out there are tabs only. Now, they recently have found some facet grade material, but still, there are no faceted stones in the market to be found. One small pocket. I have had that stone for, again, a really long time, from the Combat Mine in Namibia. They first thought it was from Sumed, but nope, this came from the Combat Mine. Price on this, it is an amazing opportunity, and that's the only stone I've ever owned, only one I've ever had. Price on it is only $122, only $100 a carat for one of the rarest gems. So, I have shown you everything from cat's eye emerald to a 33 karat crystal beryl to a Nambulite to unbelievable North Carolina hidenites and beyond. Stay tuned. Be right back with the trivia. Check this out. Yep, it is a what am I? All right, so let's just start left to right. And I put more up there because some of you may are maybe more familiar with a particular type stone than others. So it gives everyone a broader chance of an opportunity to win. And whoever gets more of them correct, I guess will be the winner. We'll see how that goes. All right, so let's take a look. It's going to be like kind of like when you are at the if you went to, which I don't, at the auctions for the storage warehouses, you only get to stand at the edge, look in for a minute, and then that's all the time you get before you make your offer. All right, here you go. What am I? Take a look at that. And we're going to be going from left to right, and that's the way you need to write them down. Okay, you get to see that. And then here is, because you have to also be able to identify cabochons. What is that? And then now let's take a look at this one, and this one, let's look at it. I'm helping you out by showing you all the different angles, which is important. Okay, so look at potential terminations. Look at what it might look like if it isn't complete, but you completed it. There you go. You get to see, I'm giving you a little extra help on that one. But you should be quite familiar with it. We looked at quite a few of those over time. And then this one. What is this one? And then the final one is this. So you get to see a cross section, the exterior of it, and the interior. So there we go. I'll just straighten these back up so we get them in the right, left to right. So name them from the left to the right, and let's see how well you do. So, wow. I've got a big mess, but it's one of those messes that I can't even clean up fast because I'm back to looking at everything. It's just like getting it out. When it's your hobby, there's no easy way to just consider this stuff like groceries, and as much as you can just put it back into the cabinet and take it out and eat it. No. This, just as in when it's as a piece of jewelry, these are items that Mother Nature created. They need to be honored. They need to be respected. They need to be enjoyed. And you need to learn from them because all the chemistry that is locked up within inside these gems and minerals is all we need on this earth. And it's there. It's there. Now, I once again did not get a chance to show you, partly because I forgot, but I have the crystals grown on the quartz, and they're also fluorescent. So they may be a fluorescence that maybe we could figure out seeing because it's like neon green. So anyway, we're going to get to that, but I wanted to make sure that we got to all those other good stuff, Mother Nature's grown crystals, before we got to Shawn in his mad scientist chemistry lab set. Speaking of, yes, I was one of those kids that I wanted the 128 chemical one, the chemistry lab set that they folded out twice. I only had the 64 chemical one, but that was pretty cool. It opened it up, and of course, did I read any of the instructions? Oh no, it was mix and match. Shawn's making a new mineral today. I love those things. I don't even know if they sell them. If they do, I'm sure it is a much safer version of them than when I was growing up. Yeah, we could still make really cool stuff with those. Okay, I enjoyed the show. I hope all of you take advantage of these opportunities. And even though some of the price points may be a little bit higher than what they've been, I think I gave you a nice mix. But try to splurge on the more expensive ones, like the hiddenite crystals, or because those are the ones that, if you go and compare prices, that I really mark down the least. And here's an important thing, especially like the hiddenite. Everything comes down to nuances such as color. If you're getting a North Carolina hiddenite, you want it to have some green color in it, or at least be a beautiful yellow green, which is most of them are. The ones I saw, they barely have any color at all. Therefore, I would have to wonder if they would even have that fluorescent effect, because it takes chrome, if there's even enough chrome content for them to turn pink in a Chelsea filter. So it's important. And remember the test on the C-axis for genuine natural hiddenite. I bet you could go to many a knowledgeable person and them not know even about that very important method or methodology of testing for natural. There is so much of the Afghanistan kunzite that has been turned green in the marketplace that is an excellent way for you to be able to make the correct judgment and impress your friends as well. And if you actually have one of those crystals and do, like I did, three-handed, looking at it down the C-axis, it turned red. And it's an amazing thing. Okay, love all of you and appreciate all of you for all of your support. I still continue to need it. You're getting to the really good stuff here, part of the collection, but there's really good stuff left. And I wouldn't be showing to you if in the end I didn't need for you to purchase it as well. The old grizzled miner look is carrying me for a little while, but at some point here, I'm going to need to eat. So I need my tooth. Christmas is coming up again. God love y'all. Thank you. See you next Monday.